Hello there, everyone. If you're watching this video, then you are part of the TTOR Army, an army that is building itself up one subscriber at a time. As you can see from the title and thumbnail of today's video, yes, it is true. The reason why you haven't seen anything between me and Brett Keane in the last, nearly 5 months is because Brett Keane has blocked me on social media. And in case you don't believe me, here is the proof. On screen, you can see Brett Keane's Twitter account. And if you scroll down a little bit, it says, "Oh, Brett Keane Show has blocked you. You can view public posts from Brett Keane Show, but you are blocked from engaging with them. You also cannot follow or message them." Which this is a recent change that was made to Twitter/X by Elon Musk and his team. Because before, when someone blocked you, you couldn't see their posts and you couldn't engage with their posts and you couldn't follow or message them. You just disappeared. Well, now, because some people are public figures and they're technically not allowed to block you due to their status as public figures, the workaround on Twitter is that when someone blocks you, they can still see your public posts, but you just can't engage with them and you can't follow or message them. So, yep, Brett Keane has blocked me. I'm logged in as TTOR. You can see it right here on the screen that Brett Keane has blocked me. And you must be thinking to yourself, why? Why did Brett Keane block me? Well, the reason why Brett Keane blocked me is because I wouldn't censor a Kamala Harris supporter who came onto my live stream of the TTOR show on election night last year. I kid you not. Now, I don't remember the exact time marker that it happened at, but on election night last year, I had an episode of the TTOR show where we were covering the election results live. Brett was there, and Arkmoon75 was there, and Joshua was there, Seeking the Truth. We were having a grand old time. And then at some point during the stream, a Kamala Harris supporter came on to argue with us, and Brett Keane told me to boot that person from the room, primarily because he was streaming live to his YouTube channel while I was streaming live to Rumble and I believe Twitter. And because I wouldn't do it, because I like diversity of thought and I wanted to see what would happen if we engaged in conversation with a Kamala Harris supporter, I did not kick the person out. And so what Brett Keane did is he removed himself from the room. He terminated his version of my stream on his channel. And then he promptly blocked me on Twitter and probably everywhere else. I haven't checked to see if he's blocked me on like Gab or anything. But he has blocked me on Twitter, as you saw, and that is why. Because I refuse to censor a Kamala Harris supporter who came onto the show to argue with us about Trump versus Harris and why we're idiots for voting Trump and why he was so smart for voting for Harris. I believe in diversity of thought. I believe in freedom of speech, and I wanted to prove it by having a Kamala Harris supporter come on so that we could have a real discussion. And to the Kamala Harris supporters' credit, if you watch this stream, they actually were civil enough that we could have a conversation of sorts, although there was a lot of shouting involved initially. But a conversation did happen between that supporter and us, and everything went fine. It was a fine stream, and of course we know that Donald Trump slaughtered Kamala Harris in the election because he didn't just win the Electoral College votes by a huge margin, but he also won the popular vote by 2 million votes. It's been decades since a Republican presidential candidate won the popular vote in an election as well as winning the Electoral College. And so, yeah, the Democrats and Kamala Harris really had to screw up bad last 4 years if Donald Trump won the popular vote as well as the Electoral College. But anyway, that's why it happened, and I find this action by Brett Keane to be incredibly disappointing because I've known Brett since 2019. I actually came across his videos for the first time when he was on BitChute, not when he was on YouTube. And I watched a lot of his BitChute videos. He was dealing with a lot of the same atheist content creators that I was. So naturally, I found his videos insightful and interesting. And then eventually we started talking and we started collaborating. And boy, did we have collaborations galore. So on screen, I have the playlist on my BitChute channel called Brett Keane Videos. And this is every video that I've ever done where I've collaborated with Brett Keane, at least as far as the ones where I collaborated and then posted it on my channel. Then I have some clips from his show that I was in. And then I have other kinds of videos about him, like when I was defending him after YouTube censored him, or when other people were going after him, like Jeffrey McLean, the atheist, claiming that Brett Keane was just a troll pretending to be a Christian. I responded to some of Brett Keane's videos about topics like Is God Calling You? I defended him from the truth news of Jesus Christ. I brought him onto live shows. And anytime he was censored by YouTube, I stood up for him. When he was banned from Gab, I stood up for him. He collaborated with me and a bunch of other people on the old TTOR Fellowship live streams. We dealt with people like Kenny Rhodes and Smokey Saint together. And Brett Keane is the one who actually taught me how to use OBS, how to use StreamYard. He introduced me to a bunch of the software that I use today to do all of my content. And then when people claim that he was never a real atheist, I stood up for him. I stood up for him when Matt Powell was going after him. When Mark Stoney was going after him unjustly, I stood up for him. I interacted with him regarding his book. He was on a bunch of my live streams a couple years ago. And when Gray Sheep 1717 put out the most pathetic attempt to expose Brett Keane I'd ever seen, I stepped up for him on that. We did a bunch of shows where we discussed atheist churches and we reacted to other apologetics content and political stuff. I started backing up his older videos onto his quarter channel, and we did a bunch of other interactions on live shows of mine. And then when he was temporarily banned from Truth Social, I stood up for him. And he was also the moderator of my back and forth exchange between me and atheist Jackson Wheat. So yeah, and there's other stuff of Brett and I that we've done together that were on his channel in the past that's not on mine, but as you can see, just this extensive list on my channel, my BitChute channel at least, shows that Brett and I go way back. We've done a lot of stuff together. I've stood up for him. He stood up for me in videos in the past, so we were pretty good internet friends, I believe. And he also is the person who taught me how to use OBS and a bunch of the other software I use to do my content. So this is not a video where I'm here to bash on Brett Keane and pretend like all this history between us, all this good history, never happened. I'm not about doing that. But I do find it extremely disappointing that someone who has such an extensive, mostly positive history with me, I'm disappointed that he would block me and refuse to engage with me anymore on the internet just because I allowed someone to speak freely on my show. Because even though he was restreaming my election night show to his YouTube channel, it was my show. I ultimately decide who gets to speak and who doesn't. It wasn't his call to ban the person who was a Kamala Harris supporter. I gave that person a chance to be civil. They barely proved they were civil, and everything went good from there. But Brett Keane, since he has banned me, he's gone on to leave YouTube altogether. At least I think he has. And also, he only appears to be uploading content to Spotify. And when I went to his Spotify account, I saw that pretty much everything he's uploaded, at least this year, has been related to news and current events. So it seems like Brett has moved on from dealing with religion and atheism and all that stuff. It seems like he's moved on from that, and he's gone full on into political and current events, which is fine. I cover that stuff too, a lot, sometimes. And a lot of people do. There's no harm in Brett doing that. It's important to know what's going on in the world. But I'm really saddened in a way. I mean, I'm not like weeping. I'm not like depressed over it, but I am saddened a little bit by Brett Keane's decision to block me on social media and refuse to talk to me anymore, simply for allowing a Kamala Harris supporter to speak freely on a Rumble live stream that I was hosting. I am disappointed and a little bit saddened by that. Hopefully, one day Brett Keane will have a change of heart and he'll unblock me on social media and we can interact again and maybe do some more collaborations on in the future. I would be totally okay with that if that's something he wanted to do at some point. So I'm not permanently closing the door on Brett Keane, but on the off chance that he refuses to ever talk to me again, this could potentially be my final chapter of the entire history between me and Brett Keane. And I just want you guys to know that even though it ended sadly, badly, however you want to look at it, it wasn't all bad. There was a lot of good in my history with him. It's just he decided to end things in a really bad way. That's all I have to say in this video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this for whatever reason. And if you did, be sure to hit the subscribe button, check out my other videos, likes and comments you can leave down below, and be sure to go to the description box and check out all the other sites that I'm on. And with that, I bid you guys adieu and farewell, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.